Let's tour Module 1. Each module will start with a tour video like this one, and you'll be required to watch the tour video to view the test at the end of the module. Each tour video will have some similarities, but be patient and watch the entire video because I often include information about what will be on the test and how to approach learning the material. Let's start by looking at the resources folder. The resources are going to include things like your outcomes and objectives. These are essentially a study guide for each of your tests because these are the things that you should know by the end of the semester. As we go along through these different topics, use your objective list as a study guide and basically a list of practice questions to prepare for that test. Occasionally I include some notes or partial notes for a module. I have also included possible short answer test questions. These are questions that will show up in some form on the test. They may not show up exactly like you see them here, or they may be a variation of what you see here, but these are questions you should practice writing ahead of time. The most successful students in the class print these off when they start a module and read them over before they even watch any lectures. Then, as you're going through the lecture videos, you can look for things that will help you answer these questions. When you run across something in a lecture video, you should stop and take the time to practice writing out an answer. You can always reach out to me for help. I won't give you a grade ahead of time or an exact answer, but I will be happy to steer you in the right direction to figure out that answer. Another really great resource for you in this class will be this Q&A discussion board. This is a place for you to share concerns or questions with your classmates and to go in and help each other out answering those questions. Think of this as a sandbox for you to work with each other and dig a little bit deeper in the topic or give each other some tips on how you figured something out. If you post a question there and really need to know that answer, and you don't get an answer in a timely manner from your classmates, always reach out to me by email, because while I may not be in that discussion board constantly, I do check my email very regularly. The more active students are with each other, the more successful they are overall as a class. To participate in the discussion board, you just click on it, and then you just click to start a new thread. Enter a title for your discussion board, such as the main question that you have or resource that you're sharing, and then you can just type your information down here. You can copy and paste images in here as well, or links if that's helpful to your classmates. Here's the link button. You can also do it this way where you add a URL. You would just copy and paste the website up here and then just add a title for it. And now there's actually a link that people can click on to go directly to that source. And then you'll post. Once there is a post here, you can reply to that by doing a reply to thread and then answer questions. The Q&A discussion board is set up by topic for each module. So make sure that you're posting your questions in the current module so that other classmates or myself are more likely to see those and help answer those for you. Be sure to pop in periodically during the module and take a look at your classmates' posts and responses to the posts. In the resources, there may be additional resources that are topic-specific depending on that particular module. If I click on that, I'm going to see another one of these web pages. Here, there are some PowerPoint slides. There are some partial notes, some examples of student notes, and some unlabeled images for practicing terminology. If you do want to print the handout from a PowerPoint, and this applies to any PowerPoint from any class that you have, I give you the steps on how to print that off. Then we have our to-do folder. The to-do folder is always set up in a linear process, meaning you should do the things in this module or in this folder in the order that they are presented to you. Sometimes things that show up later refer to the things that you should have already completed. If you skip around, you might be a little bit confused. So make sure that you're following them along in order. One of the most important pieces of advice that I can give you is don't skip the lecture videos. The lecture videos are where I'm there to narrow down the textbook information and help make sense of it all for you. I also like to give lots of tips and clues as to what you may see on the test and how to learn the information more effectively and efficiently. Now, the first thing you're always going to see in each to-do folder is a tour of that module. Remember that if you skip the tour, you won't be able to see the test for that module. This means that you have to watch the module tour to be able to access the test. After the tour video, you'll notice that there are a variety of activities, and again, make sure to do these in the order that they are presented. In this first module, you're going to find activities and information that are going to help you with understanding the difference between anatomy and physiology and the different organ systems. Be sure to read the information as you go down. Then you'll see there's a video here to watch on anatomy versus physiology. Then there's a little overview practice activity that you can use as you watch the video to help you organize the different organ systems. Then I have a video that I've made that gives a review of the topics that you just learned about. Once you've done all of those activities, you'll go back to your to-do folder here. Then you're going to work on body cavities and regions. Again, the first thing you're going to do is watch this video on body cavities. Make sure that you're taking notes as you're going through these videos. The videos are included for a reason and cover information that you need to know. A little trick: if you type faster than you write, you can take your course site and just make it take up half the screen and have a Word document on one side to type as you're watching videos. Then here's a tour of the mini torso. This will walk you through the major cavities within the body and the organs that you find in each. Then there's a short video walking you through the abdominal pelvic quadrants and regions. Here's a document to help you review the body cavities and then also keep track of these different regions and quadrants as you go through them. Once you've done all of those activities, I recommend before you go on to the next to-do item, take some time to review what you just learned. Don't try to rush through every lecture video and then try to study all of the material at once, because when you sit down to study, you're going to feel overwhelmed and you're not going to know where to start. So as you go through each of these different videos, watch one 5 to 10 minute video and then practice that information for a while until you feel comfortable with it and can consistently explain it to someone else. Once you've done the body cavities and abdominal pelvic regions, then you'll have a few items here for body regions and directional terms. Again, there's a video, and then I do an overview with a little bit more detail. Then we have directional terms, and then I do a review of that as well with some practice. Here are some worksheets to help you organize and practice different things. Print this off and cut out each term. Get a little piece of tape and practice labeling yourself or label somebody else. There's a Play-Doh activity here to also help you reinforce and understand the different regions and planes of dissection. Here you're going to make a little Play-Doh person. Then you're just going to get a little pin or a toothpick, put those in different regions to practice your directional terms as well as your surface anatomy. These are examples of practice activities you could use to reinforce what you're learning and make the learning more active. The more active you can make your learning, the more effective it will be for retaining the material long term. Then you're going to do your first required discussion board. You're going to be posting an image that you have labeled with different surface terminology. Here's an example where I took a picture of Ruby Rose and I labeled 5 different regions on her face or near her face. Now you may not use the regions that I've already used here. There are plenty of other surface anatomy terms on the body that you can use to label an image. These can be full images of a person doing some kind of athletic activity, or picture of loved one or person you find interesting, and you can label those. Make sure that you're completing all of the requirements for the assignment before posting. Then you're just going to start a new thread once you have your image labeled and ready. Upload your image there. Now, if you're wondering how the post will be graded, you can click on the rubric link to view a breakdown of grading for that particular assignment. If you need help on how to copy an image from Google into a Word document and how to label it, here's a short video clip that walks you through how to do that. McGraw-Hill has something called SmartBook. Now, SmartBook is a guided reading activity through the textbook that hits the highlights of topics that you should be familiar with in this course. It will ask you periodic questions and take you back to readings if you are unable to answer them correctly. It does not cover everything that you need to know, but it's going to hit the highlights. One of the options that you could do is go into the SmartBook reading, and then rather than going through all of the reading, go directly into the questions about that reading. If you struggle with any of the questions, it can feed you back into the part of the textbook that covers that topic, so you use the SmartBook more like a review and a practice than as an initial reading of a topic. Now in Module 1, there's one more web page here on homeostasis. You have a video on homeostasis by the Amoeba Sisters, and then one by Bozeman Science, and then I do an overview as well. This is a good review of the topics you just learned in the first 2 videos. Then you can apply your knowledge by working through this practice worksheet. It is not something that you need to turn in, but it's something that will help reinforce and practice what you've already learned. Again, make sure that you're practicing as you work through the material and lecture videos. Then you're going to do a homework assignment. There is an Intro to A&P review guide to help you practice for the test. Lastly, in the To-Do folder is a web page that goes over the cavities and organs using the mini torso in the Anatomy Loaner Kit. Once you've completed the activities and you feel confident in the material, then you should check your knowledge using the optional practice activities. I have created Kahoot review games for each of the lecture tests that are a fun way to check your knowledge and compete with your classmates. The highest scores will get a bonus point on the lecture test. You can do the Kahoot as many times as you want to improve your standing. You will need to create a new name each time you take it, and I need to be able to identify you to award any points. So I recommend using part of your first and last name and a number. For example, you can do Kian Reeve 1, then Kian Reeve 2, etc. Once you're ready to take the test, you need to clear off your workspace so that you can show the camera that you are not accessing any prohibited resources during the test. The test is going to require the lockdown browser that you have become familiar with when taking the pre-assessment. It is very important when you're taking any of these tests that you are able to demonstrate to me that you are maintaining your academic integrity. I will be reviewing your setup videos in Respondus to make sure that you're showing me a clean workspace, and I will be watching the video clips of you taking your test. Think about it like you're sitting in a classroom and I'm sitting at the front of the classroom monitoring the test. If there's any question that you might be looking off screen a lot or flipping through notes when you're not supposed to have them, then tests may be marked as a 0. If you have an interruption during your test, explain what happened to the camera and move on in your test. I will contact you if I have any further questions. Once you've watched this tour video, the lecture test link will appear below the review activities here. If you do not see the test link and you've watched this video, let me know so I can help you troubleshoot the issue. The deadline for this first test is 11:59 p.m. That means you must be taking the test questions themselves before that cutoff time. It can take a few minutes to go through the setup process. You must make sure that the whole setup process is complete and you are actually taking questions on the test itself before, not at, but before that cutoff time. If you don't, then it's going to cut you off and kick you out of the test. Let's say you are halfway through the test and it hits 11:59. It will not kick you out. I do not have a time limit on my online tests, as long as, again, you're showing me that you're not using any prohibited materials. My goal isn't to rush you through the test, but it's to make sure that you're taking them honestly. Now, I would suggest that maybe you don't take 2 or 3 hours to take the tests, because then you may have to take bathroom breaks, and if you get up and leave in the middle of a test, I don't know if you're going out of the room to access materials. As we work through the semester, if you have any questions about testing, make sure that you reach out to me. So that's a tour of Module 1. All of the other modules will be formatted similarly with a resource folder and a to-do folder. Some of the larger modules may have additional folders to help organize the review activities for the test. By the time you get to the 3rd or 4th module, you should be really familiar with this format and hopefully getting comfortable with how to find things.